And welcome back, everyone, to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, coming to you from the X-Zone Broadcast Network's Southern Command Post in beautiful Vero Beach and Fellsmere, Florida. And it is wonderful being back with all of you, my listeners, my friends and supporters, as we discuss our passion for paranormal research, investigation, and trying to find the answers to what's on the other side. Tonight, as I return to you, I have a really special guest. It's our own Rob McConnell, the owner, Grand Poobah of the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And Rob, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Larry, it's good hearing you again. And geez, I love your show.
Well, I appreciate it, and it's as always good having you back. This world of paranormal research and investigation. Mm-hmm. Always evolving, but never progressing. Well, if you can see where I'm going with that. What are your thoughts there?
Well, you know what? I listened to your show a number of times that you did with, Richard Sennett and Dr. Albert Taylor.
Great guys.
And I loved the direction that you guys were going. Progressive, going forward, looking at new ways of investigating, taking the old and saying, all right, what can we take from the old to implement into the new? And how can we work together as a unified investigative force to find out what these anomalies are all about?
And isn't that the age-old question, what is it? Now, I've had actually some really interesting conversations with folks. Regarding what the phenomenon is. Is it actually ghosts? Is it different dimensions? Are you familiar with the Phillips experiment at all?
No, I'm not.
That is experiments that have been involving the use of the human mind actually being the catalyst to produce what we think is paranormal evidence. For example, using thinking about a subject so hard that it comes out as an EVP. So, I mean,
yes, I've heard about that. Yeah, I've heard about that one. Yeah.
There's so many different aspects of this, and we really still don't have any more answers than we did 30, 40 years ago.
But when you look at the space of time and the advances that paranormal investigators like yourself and Richard Sennett and Albert Taylor have accomplished, working together and using new scientific methods, man, it's just a matter of time before the truth is found out. And you know what I love about the work that you guys do is no matter what the truth is, you're going to discover it. And my experience has been that when one question is answered, 10 more questions pop up.
Oh, absolutely. And I think once that we kind of crack that door open, I guess it's not a complaint of mine, it's a concern of mine, that we're using a lot of the same equipment we used 20 years ago, same theories. We've got to expand on that. And I think once we do that, we crack that door open, as you said, it's going to provide answers to a multitude of things. There's a current theory out there now involving ITC, instrumental transcommunication. Yep. Are you familiar with that at all?
I sure am. We've been talking about ITC on the X-Zone for at least 15 years.
Yeah, but it's not really been progressing except for recently, and I'm seeing some movement in that area, and I'm excited about it. Not quite sure where it's going to go yet, but I think there's some people really, really focusing on that. I'm also really interested in its connection with our mind and how our mind perceives all of this.
Well, when we look at poltergeist activity, Dr. Hans Holzer, who in my opinion is the founding figure from the scientific community when it comes to the paranormal and parapsychology, was able to come up with the conclusion based on research and based on experimentation that a poltergeist is caused by a human agent, usually a young male teenager going through his change of life. We've also found out over the years, Larry, that when it comes to poltergeist activity, 9 times out of 10 there will be sexual abuse within the family unit where the poltergeist occurs. So, the evidence is being gathered, but it's a slow process because not like the other mainstream realms of science. You don't have the number of scientists who need to be involved. You don't have the funding that needs to be involved. Basically, and I hope nobody takes this the wrong way, the investigation of the paranormal is a cottage industry right now. Researchers are paying for their own expenses, paying for their own equipment, paying out of their own pockets to try and answer some of the greatest questions that have ever been asked since recorded history.
And I don't disagree with you at all. It is, and it's because I don't think that the field has ever been taken seriously by the scientific community. But I see that's beginning to change a little bit. There's a group out of the University of Virginia. Richard Tucker runs is part of that operation there, and they're spending a whole lot more time looking into the human element of all this. They spend a lot of time talking about how children are involved.
Yes.
And there's a theory out there that children are much more open to this type of activity because their young minds aren't so cluttered as ours. So I do see some movement in the scientific community, but it's slow. And I agree with you. Right now, it is a cottage industry in way, way too many ways.
But let me ask you this. As a paranormal investigator yourself who has the opportunity of working with many fine teams that I've had the pleasure of meeting while, having this association with you, Larry, over the years, how do the other members of the paranormal community feel when the spooky aspect is being replaced by the human factor? That ghosts may not have anything to do with the dead, the mediumship, and the rest of it, but with the human mind of those who are still alive. How is that being perceived by the paranormal community?
It depends on where you go. Now, and I'm sure you've found this through your interviews yourself. There are thousands of mom and pop operations out there investigating the paranormal. Many of them are out there and there's nothing wrong with it, for the thrill of the unknown, the bump in the night, the EVP. But what you're starting to find out is that there are becoming more and more teams that are taking the scientific angle of it. They're getting past, and our group's one of them, moving past that thrill of the bump in the night and trying to find out is why there's the bump in the night. And I do see a trend heading that way. And you were mentioning Richard Sennett and Al Taylor a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
they're part of the leadership of that movement, and I see that happening more and more each time, more and more each day. I should say. This division of perceptual studies at the University of School of Medicine is a great example of that. These are scientists and doctors taking a serious look at what this is. And what's going to happen is, for this field to progress, we're going to have to understand it may not be what we think it is or even hope it is. It may have another explanation. And that, my friend, is what we have to strive for, is what's causing it, wherever the evidence takes us.
But what about the ripple effect, Larry? If, in fact, it is found out that the so-called paranormal phenomena has nothing to do with the paranormal, that is, it has all been generated by the human psyche. What will this do to the credibility of psychics, mediums, and other people who practice divination practices that are based on those who are on the other side of the realm of life?
Well, I personally see that folks that are serious students, serious practitioners of those fields will understand the importance of what it really is and deal with it accordingly. If it's a psychological issue, then I am convinced that those that are taking it seriously will continue to take it seriously and take the evidence for what it is and head down that path. There are going to be some that are going. There's going to be debunkers, and there's going to be, regardless of what we find. Now, I have my personal beliefs, as do a lot of folks, but we've got to put those aside, take what the evidence says. And if the evidence says it is something within our own psyche, then that's what it is, and that's where we have to continue to pursue the answers. If it turns out it is something of a spiritual nature, I believe that's going to be found out also. But it's going to take folks that have a serious desire to find the truth to come up with those answers. And I believe that they're out there. Your radio show, for example, searches for the truth. There's several other groups out there. Richard, we keep talking about Richard Sennett, Al Taylor. Many of the groups that I deal with are working towards what that answer is. Now, whether or not this ends up being something human or spiritual, that's yet to be seen. But we must strive to find that answer. And I see the ripple effect. Certainly it's going to hurt somebody's pocketbook.
Sure.
But sometimes the truth does, and that's what we got to search for, is the truth. Those that don't search for the truth and only search for themselves will find failure. So
well said.
Yeah. At any rate, folks, a great session here. We're going to take a break in just a couple seconds. I've got Rob McConnell from X-Zone Broadcast Networks going to be back with us in just a second. Really want all of you to take a look at all the great programming on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. And stick with us, folks. We're going to be back in just a few minutes on the other side to pick this conversation up as I pick the Grandmaster's brain. See you in a second.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com.
And we are back at Paranormal Stakeout with my guest tonight, Rob McConnell, the leader of the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and certainly one of the greatest voices on paranormal broadcasting in the world today. And yes, I am blowing your horn a little bit there, Rob. But tell me something. You've been on the air for how many years now?
28 years.
28 years. 28 years you've been out there talking to folks about everything from Bigfoot to ghosts to aliens.
That's right, sir.
What is the most unusual interview you've done?
The most unusual. Well, there was a lady who brought her psychic goat into the studio. That was rather unique. Let me see. I had a psychic medium on the show who was telling me all about the interview was going like, she said, "Do you have any questions?" I said, "Well, yeah. Does anybody on the other side have a question for me, or do they want to give me a message?" And she said, "Well, yes, as a matter of fact, there's a blonde-haired lady who is telling me, 'Oh, Rob, it's your dearly departed sister.'" And I said, "Oh, my God." She said, "Yes, and she wants you to know that you are loved. She thinks about you all the time." And she went on to a little bit of a speech, and she was telling me everything that my sister was telling her to tell me. So as we got close to the end of the segment, she said, "Well, what did you think of the message?" I said, "Well, I've got some, I've got to tell you that I'm very taken back by the fact that, number one, I don't have a sister, and number two, you're gone." Then I think we did the shotgun sound effect in the toilet flushing and played another one, "Bites the Dust" by Queen. Another interesting one we had was, it was just at the top of my... his name was Thigh, Thigh, and he was in Saskatchewan, Canada. That's part of our prairie provinces, a lot like your Midwestern plains in the United States. And he was telling me that he was being used by CSIS, which is the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, which is basically the same as the U.S. CIA, because he had the God gene, that he was part God. Another strange one I had from the Canadian prairies. Again, must be something with that flat land that they go a little bit of bonkers. This guy had built a UFO deflection system. And I said, "Well, how did you do that?" He said, "Well, I went to Canadian Tire. I got myself a bunch of car batteries, a bunch of red lights, hooked them all up together, pointed the red lights at the sky." And he said, "Rob, ever since I did that, I've never seen another UFO." I've talked to people who at exhibitions and at symposiums that we go to, or we used to go to, that would come up and talk to us wearing tin foil on their heads because they didn't want the aliens probing their minds. So there have been those, and yet there have been the ones that have really touched my heart. One of the ones that I will always remember was during the time of the Y2K, that a talk show host who is now passed on, Art Bell, was promoting the generators, the dried food, and the survival kits. And this now, I was on for 3 hours prior to Coast. So I knew what he was talking about the night before, and he knew what I was going to be talking about. We just did this so we wouldn't overlap guests.
Right.
And this lady called up, and she was crying. And she said, "Rob, I don't know what to do. My twin sister and I are in our 80s. We don't have the money to buy a generator. We don't have the money to buy the food. Rob, what are we going to do?" And my heart went out to these people, because there were so many people who were sucked in to the Y2K fiasco. And as you know, and as I know, nothing happened. Mind you, I was the New Year's Eve from December 31st at 11 o'clock on 2011 till, from 1999, right? Y2K, yeah. 1999. Jeez, it's been a long time. From 11 o'clock on December the 31st till 1 o'clock in the morning on this January the 1st, 2000, I was doing a live remote from the brink of Niagara Falls in Canada for the station. And as we went to the news at midnight, I just shut the feed down. So for about 45 seconds, dead air. And then I came back on and said, see, nothing happened. We're all still here. So there's been so many things. Over 4,780 different guests over 28 years.
My goodness.
You know, over, I don't know, the numbers that we have are fantastic, Larry. And because people want to know. And, you know, I look back in time and I say Art Bell, who just passed away on Friday, April the 13th, an appropriate day for Art to die.
Yeah, it was.
You know, he was the person who made it all possible for people like myself, Jeff Rintz, Clyde Lewis, who have are still in the game.
Yeah.
But Art,
and that's where I cut my teeth. I used to listen to Art Bell every weekend night. So.
Yeah, so, you know, there's been a lot of strange things happen over the years, but I must tell you something in all honesty. Nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed over the past 28 years when it comes to the paranormal.
And that's my point.
You know, we still don't know anything more than we did 28 years ago when it comes to UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, anything except when it comes to ancient mysteries and the work that anthropologists and archaeologists are doing. We're learning more about our past, but within the realms of the past. For example, a couple of years ago, there were these pictures of what looked like aliens that the UFO community were saying that these were alien bodies, little bodies. And thanks to the good work of the archaeologists, we found out that these were two mummified stillborn fetuses that were buried with King Tut. Nothing to do with extraterrestrials, nothing to do with aliens, nothing to do with UFOs, but members of the UFO community and those who want to believe in alien abductions will use anything they can without doing the proper research, without doing their homework, and present to the public photographs of these extraterrestrial babies. These photographs and these slides were presented in Mexico, and it was a big draw. You know, John Kerry was part of it. Schmidt was part of it. And
I remember that.
Yeah, and people are getting sucked in left and right and center. And it's making it very hard for those credible investigators who want to break away from the old research that has been done. Stanton Friedman, who talks about UFOs, who's never seen a UFO. You've got Travis Walton, who's still doing the scene from Fire in the Sky and his alien abductions. There are so many things that are just repeating themselves. Nothing new. You've got Paul Hellyer, the former defense minister of Canada, who's now saying that, you know, he believes in UFOs, even though when I had him on my show, he said unequivocally that as the Minister of Defense for Canada, not one UFO report crossed his desk. But now, because he's no longer in politics, he's promoting himself as a UFO believer.
Well, and you know, there's no question that there are individuals out there, and it's not just in the paranormal world. You and I are both cops.
Yeah.
We know that there's always somebody out there that's willing to take advantage of others through some sort of sensational means, whether to promote themselves or whether to profit for themselves. No question that's out there. But would you agree that there are still questions out there, there are still events that have occurred that have defied explanation and need further investigation.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely, Larry. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. You know, when it comes to the UFO phenomena, there's no definite explanations yet. The one that comes closest is it's terrestrial aircraft. When it comes to the Roswell investigation, 99.9999% of that case is Project Mogul. When it comes to ghosts, we're no closer today than we were 28 years ago, or even 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 years ago. These are questions that have to be answered one way or another. And I agree with you that there's going to be some people in some of the camps who are not happy when the truth comes out. But the truth has to come out because as an investigator, as a paranormal group, this is your goal, to find out what it is, to identify it.
Oh, there's no question, and we're striving towards that. And there are many out there, and there are always going to be folks out there that are doing it. And I don't mean this in a bad way at all. For the fun of it, it's exciting. I get that. I'll tell you right now, Rob, and you and I have had this discussion many times. I've seen and experienced things I know have occurred. I can't prove them to you yet, but I know they've occurred. My goal, my team's goal, those that are follow the vision's goal, is to find out what that answer is. And if it's us, it's us. If it's something else, my God, we're going to find that out too. But we got to take a break in a second here and come back in just a few minutes. Folks, come back and see us or listen to us in just a couple of minutes on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. This is Paranormal Stakeout. We'll be back in just a few seconds on the other side.
Broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond. You're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Den.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout with my guest, my friend Rob McConnell, the CEO of X Zone Broadcast Radio and Television. And I probably messed that up a little bit, Rob. Sorry. But let's get back to the show here.
Sure.
Listen, in our discussions, you've talked about a lot of the things that you've had on your show that turned out to be jokes or funny. The psychic goat's one of them. Real quick, have you had anybody on your show that is of the paranormal research field that you particularly found credible?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Albert Taylor, for one. Richard Sennett. Lloyd Auerbach. Hans Holzer's daughter. Oh my gosh! Right off the top of my head, those are the names that come up. Let me see. Who else? Oh, just paranormal, or are you talking about UFOs?
I personally, and this is just me, when I talk about the paranormal realm, I'm including everything because we really don't know what any of it is yet. So
sure.
That's just my opinion.
Oh, okay. So let's go with Nick Redfern, UFOs, Kevin Randall, UFOs. Let me see. Raymond Moody, Michael Cremo, Whitley Strieber.
I like Whitley Strieber.
Who else have we had on?
How about the Bigfoot realm?
Bigfoot, Lauren Coleman. Lauren Coleman has got to be one of the best. Geez, Larry, you've kind of got me off guard here.
Sorry. Well, let's talk about in the psychic world.
Yes.
I mean, I know you've interviewed many.
Yep.
The word's escaping me. Claimed psychics. Talk to me about your view of the psychic world.
Well, I, like you, question things a lot. And after doing my show for all the years that I have, Larry, I have not had one psychic reading that has ever come even close. And I've had psychic readings from John Holland. I've had Von Prague. I've had, I was going to have Sylvia Brown on. She was booked, but she died, and I asked her agent, well, how come she didn't know she was going to die? And he hung up the phone. Elizabeth Joyce. Now, Elizabeth Joyce and other psychics that we would have on a regular basis, we stopped because you see, when a psychic is on the show, and they are on for, let's say, a year, it's very easy for us to go back and track their record.
Sure.
And not one of the psychics come back after a year. There are those psychics who like to be nice, and you can tell that what they're doing is trying to make the person feel better when it's about their love life, about their job, and they're very diplomatic. And you get the other psychics who are so taken by their own alleged ability, and that's because there are gullible people who will pay anywhere from, $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 for a reading from these people. And for a person to say, well, you know what, I paid this psychic $500 and it didn't happen, is rather embarrassing. So you don't hear about the bad. The good that you do hear, based on my experience, Larry, are events that could be construed or applied to what the psychic said. You could actually take that square block that is made out of silly putty and actually put it through the round hole. I've seen this a lot. Now, when a psychic
and
comes,
I respect that because you've been doing this for so long. So
yeah, are there people out there who can predict the future? I don't know. I really don't know, because in order for them to predict the future has to be set. And if there are these people out there who do have this psychic ability, how come they're doing what they do? How come they're not, rich from the 649 tickets that they have come up with? Or why aren't they rich because of the stock market? Why aren't they rich because of the oil exploration and mineral explorations that they could have done? But they're not.
And I can see that point of view. I've got my own personal opinion that I'll touch on in just a second. But I agree with you on folks that are foretelling the future. I've not seen much credibility in that. I try to stay open-minded, but I admit
Sure.
I've not seen much credibility in that. But what about the individuals that are able to be involved or get involved in communication with spirits?
I don't believe that one bit.
Why?
There's no proof.
Okay.
For
But
example, a lot of the work that I do is with audio. I've taken broadcast engineering courses. I'm an audio technician. I'm an audio engineer as well.
Mm-hmm.
The EVP phenomenon, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. I believe that the EVP phenomena is part of the Philip experiment that you and I were talking about earlier, where it could be a mental imprint being put on the tape at such a, by the people who are doing it, because it doesn't make sense any other way.
Well, I'll agree with you that is a distinct possibility, and certainly that is what we're investigating and researching to find out. But it's also just as possible, because we don't know, it could be communication from the other side. And isn't that the whole point of what we're trying to do?
Well, if it is communication from the other side, Larry, how come the spirit or the entity or whatever it is that the medium claims is communicating with them, why don't they just deal directly with the person they want to communicate with? Why do they need to go through this middle person?
That's a great question. I see it as a little different from the EVP side of it to the information coming from a psychic. The EVPs coming across our recorders, I'll be honest with you, Rob, gotten some fantastic ones that I can't explain. Now, are they created by ourselves? That's still to be seen, but we've still gotten them. The question as to whether or not a psychic or somebody with that ability can be the interim pass that communication through, I'm not sure I understand it yet. I do believe it does occur, in my opinion, based upon some events that I've witnessed.
Such as
I have personally had somebody who could not have known some things about my personal life accurately describe them. And I, trust me, as being a cop, have taken all precautions to make sure this person could never have known these items. And somehow they did. Now, why did that occur? Not sure yet, but it did occur. And that's one of those things I was talking to you about before. It's happened. I can't sit here and show you, like we could in a court of law, the evidence that occurred.
Mm-hmm.
I can only tell you, and because we're friends, and I know you trust me, it happened. So now we have to find out why it happened.
But is it possible that your very own belief played a major part in that session that you had with the medium? Is it possible that the medium did not have any supernatural powers, but had the power of ESP, and that you yourself, Larry Lawson, was transmitting the information that she was giving to you?
I will 100% give that, but that means that theory would mean that ESP, the power of our own minds, are beyond what we're capable of understanding now and can do that sort of thing. Isn't that part of the answer we're looking for, Rob?
But you see, nobody disputes the power of ESP. Nobody. Like this has been tested, tried and true with the Zener cards at Duke University and the parapsychology labs. There's no doubt that ESP or telekinesis isn't real.
I totally agree with you. Is that what caused it? In this particular case, I would argue not, because based upon experience I've had as a cop with psychics that have really tried to get involved in cases and really weren't much help, I personally was very, very skeptical. Now, whether or not that still played into it, I am open to experimenting and finding out if that's the case. And that's what we're all about, you see. My big issue is to say, no, it can't, defeats our entire purpose for moving forward.
But by you accepting it unequivocally also deters you from moving forward.
I cannot deny the fact that they had information they couldn't have had. Whether it was me or not, I am open to finding out if that's the answer. I have no problem with that. That's my point.
But you're not going to find out that answer at a psychic fair or at a woo-woo tent.
I totally agree. But that's where, I'm looking at the University of Virginia School of Medicine Division of Perceptual Studies is doing that kind of work right now.
But
that's
Duke University has been doing this for years, Larry. This is nothing new.
Yeah, but I think you're missing my point. That may be part of the answer, but it is not widely being worked on yet, and that's where we got to go.
Oh, wait a second.
We also got to go to a break.
It is working. There are a lot of people working on it, but that's not what the paranormal community wants to hear. It's the paranormal community and the UFO community that create their own conspiracy and their own cover-ups, my friend. Don't get taken in by them.
No, not taken by them. Just keeping an open mind. But that's what we have to do. We have to continue studying. But we also got to take a break. Otherwise, my producer's going to get mad at me.
Yeah, I hear he's a bad guy.
Stay with us, folks. We'll be back in just a few minutes on Paranormal Stakeout.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howe will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multifamily dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
And we are back at Paranormal Stakeout with my guest, Rob McConnell. Great conversation. But before we get back into it, I want to remind everybody to check out my website at www.paranormalstakeout.com. Leave me a message. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me how you're enjoying the show, and even some suggestions maybe for future guests. Also would like you to visit www.xzbn.net to check out all the terrific programming on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And hey, do you want access to your favorite X-Zone Broadcast Network shows 24/7, 365 on your phone or your cell phone? Call 605-477-9614. That'll get you direct access on your phone to all the terrific programming on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Well, that was an interesting conversation. Want to kind of pick up where we left off, Rob, in our last few minutes together.
Sure.
Interesting points of view. There's no question that the paranormal industry, if you will, is a big one. I personally think that the truth will eventually win out, whether the truth be the existence of the spiritual world or it's in our own psyche, our own minds. Not sure yet. But I firmly believe that those of us that are searching for the truth will eventually prevail. That's just my take on it.
So how do you search for the truth?
Well, in my way of thinking, you conduct it as you would a criminal investigation. You come up with standardization of techniques.
Right.
You get everybody working in the same direction. You collect, you preserve the evidence, you examine the evidence, and that evidence will take you to the answer. Now, there are many folks that believe we'll never come up with the answer, and you know what? Maybe we won't. But I'm not going to go to my grave not knowing that I did everything I could, and that's where we're heading. And I believe that's going to be the answer to this question. Now, you bring up a good point when we were talking that there are groups out there doing these studies. University of Virginia, I keep mentioning. You mentioned Duke University. I believe those studies eventually are going to, along with the work of folks that are trying to legitimately come up with the answers, I believe that that's going to lead to the truth someday, and it's going to overcome the financial end of it. And I'm being somewhat naive, I admit, but that's my view of it.
But how are the groups who are so scatterbrained, inexperienced, thrill seekers ever going to be held to proper procedures, policies and procedures, investigative ways? How are you going to accomplish that?
Well, there's no way, Rob, in reality, for us to get as I put it earlier, every mom and pop operation into the fold. There's a lot of good groups out there, a lot of ones with the right heart. By creating a group that standardizes procedures and get those folks that sincerely want to find the answers on board, we can move forward. You're never going to get everybody. I mean, that's just not realistic. But I believe that there are groups out there, and a lot of the smaller groups, they fade away after a while. It's the ones that are tried and true that will stay, will want this to occur. I talk to folks all the time in the field that want standardization of techniques, want a place for evidence to go, want proper examination of the evidence, all for the right answer, whatever that right answer is. So that's the view. Certainly in my group, Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation, that's the direction we're going. We just want the answers. And I think that's going to be the direction you're going to see all this go.
So how are you going to get all these other groups involved?
Well, and we talked about it in some of my earlier shows with Richard Sennett, Al Taylor, of getting a group together to come up with the guidelines. I'm certainly coming up with myself working on curriculum to teach folks how to conduct an investigation within the realms of the scientific method and properly collect evidence, preserve evidence, store evidence, and examine it. And creating a board of individuals that will oversee it and inviting people to be part of it. And you're going to get folks, Rob, that are just going to be out there for the thrill of it. And that's okay. I mean, that's fine.
But are these people who are going to be out there for the thrill of it going to be part of your organization?
No, for the thrill of it, they probably wouldn't fit.
Right.
Because they're going to have to take a serious tone to it and a serious desire to find the answers. And they are out there, Rob. They are out there. There's always going to be the folks that just want to do it. And, that's fine. That's fine. No, not everybody is going to get on board. But you know what? It's really, really easy to say can't do it because of all the different directions people are going into. It's easy to say it'll never happen because there's too much money involved. But it's going to take somebody to say, let's move forward, follow me because it's the right thing to do to get those answers. I believe that's going to happen, Rob. And I believe that through the folks that I'm working with, this show, that's going to happen. And it's okay to be a skeptic. It's okay to say, I want to look harder at this. It's okay to say, that person there, they're just heading down the wrong direction. They're no more of a psychic than the man in the moon. They're just trying to take people's money. There are going to be people out there like that.
I have people. I have people come and ask me whenever I go out and I do a speaking engagement, what's the difference between Comic-Con and the paranormal? And I can't give them an answer. I really cannot answer them because there is no basic difference.
Sure there is.
What is it?
Sure there is.
What's the difference?
One is entertainment. You will never get rid of that. I mean, let's face it, entertainment is out there and people will do things for entertainment.
Well, what's the paranormal right now? It's entertainment. People go on the... Wait a sec, Larry. People take the paranormal tours to be entertained.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
But they also want to learn. But I can tell you right now, they also want to learn. I've experienced that myself. I'm with folks that want to learn. Want to find the answers. No question, entertainment is part of it. There's no question. But there are just as many out there that want to find the answers.
I think the scales when it comes to the paranormal are tilted in favor of those who do the paranormal for entertainment because it gives them the ability to live in a fantasy world. Because nothing is real in the paranormal. It's all basic fantasy. And a paranormal investigator, for most of the cases, lives in a realm of fantasy. They all have these cameras, these little gadgets that go woo, woo, woo. They don't deal in reality. Because if they dealt in reality, why are they chasing ghosts? Why are they chasing UFOs? Why are they chasing Bigfoot?
Well, see, I gotta strongly disagree with you there. Most of them don't live in a fantasy world. Most of them want to find the answers. There's no question that there are folks out there that want to be entertained. No doubt. I won't deny that a bit. But to say that every one of us that is out there using the equipment and trying to find the answers.
I said most.
Okay,
but
I don't know, Rob. It was a pretty blanket statement.
Well, this is based on 28 years of experience speaking to members of the paranormal community, Larry. This isn't just a comment that is based on nothing. But let's look at the numbers. There are over 30,000 ghost paranormal investigation groups in the United States. 30,000. Multiply that by a minimum of 3. That's 90,000. Do the statistical stretch. And with all these people out there, all this information out there, all these technological gadgets that they have. Still, Larry, over a 5-year to 10-year period, nothing new has been found to substantiate any claims.
Well, Rob, I agree with that, and that's what we're trying to move forward. But let me ask you this.
Sure.
Your own show, that's what you're out there, where you have folks on your show, as do I, that believe and want to move this forward. If that's the case, why do our shows even exist? If it's all
well, it's very simple. It is very simple. To bring the truth forward, there are a lot of con artists out there, a lot of sham artists, a lot of people who like to gain from the needy, the weak, and those who can't make up their own minds. This is why I do my show, to expose these people, to say, you know what? Pull up your pants, become a person, look in the mirror, because that is the only person who can solve any of your problems.
Okay.
That's why I do my show. I do my show to get to the facts.
Okay. But are you denying that there is no other fact except that this is all fake?
Until I see the evidence, you're right. That's exactly where I stand.
Okay. Well, I take a little bit of different stand. There certainly are charlatans out there. Being a cop for as long as I have seen it. But I don't know that I agree that most of the folks out there are charlatans.
Well, where is the proof? As they said in that old Wendy's commercial, where's the beef? Now, as a cop, I went on facts. I went on evidence. Without any evidence, you don't have a case.
True.
So,
but how do you get the facts for your case? You investigate.
You investigate, but you don't chase ghosts.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that. I mean, isn't that what we're looking for is the answer?
Hey, if the answer hasn't been found after all these years, I don't know, Larry. I hope you're right and I'm wrong.
Okay. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you being on the show tonight, Rob. Folks, thanks for listening to us. We will see you next time on Paranormal Stakeout.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.